In the annals of history, the story of Black Africans unfolds, marked by both triumphs and struggles. Throughout the centuries, their cultural richness, resilience, and powerful presence instilled wonder, admiration, and even fear in the hearts of others. This fear, rooted in ignorance and prejudice, drove some to view Black Africans as a threat. The exploration of their vast continent, the resistance against colonial rule, and the fight for freedom and equality all contributed to the perception of Black Africans as formidable adversaries. Yet beneath the surface, beyond the misconceptions and stereotypes, lay diverse and vibrant people whose contributions to the world would ultimately reshape history. This video delves into the complexities of why Black Africans were historically viewed as a threat, illuminating the deep-seated prejudice that plagued societies and the enduring spirit that defied all odds. Before we move on, support us by hitting subscribe and the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. Throughout history, Black Africans have often been viewed through a lens of fear and perceived as a threat by various societies. This perception stems from a complex interplay of factors, including early contact between European explorers and the African civilizations, the emergence of European conceptions of race and power, economic competition for resources, and the creation of social and cultural stereotypes. These historical perceptions have profoundly impacted the treatment of Black Africans, shaping colonial narratives, scientific racism, and the enduring legacy of inequality. To promote understanding and challenge these deeply ingrained biases, it is essential to explore why Black Africans were historically viewed as a threat. By examining the historical context and its lasting effects, we can work towards building a more inclusive and equitable future. During the era of exploration and colonization, Black Africans were often viewed as a threat due to the encounters between European powers and African communities. As European nations embarked on voyages of discovery, they sought to establish colonies and expand their African territories. This contact with Black Africans sparked fear among Europeans, who perceived the unfamiliar culture, customs, and societal structures as potentially threatening their dominance. Moreover, the advanced civilizations and organized societies they encountered challenged the prevailing Eurocentric notions of superiority. The desire for wealth, resources, and strategic advantages further intensified the perception of Black Africans as a threat as European powers engaged in exploitative practices and sought to subjugate indigenous populations. These early encounters laid the foundation for the historical view of Black Africans as a source of fear and resistance. During exploration and colonization, European powers held deeply ingrained conceptions of race and power that influenced their During exploration and colonization, European powers held deeply ingrained conceptions of race and power that influenced their perceptions of Black Africans as a threat. The prevailing European worldview was shaped by notions of racial superiority and a desire to establish dominance over new territories. Europeans viewed themselves as racially superior, possessing advanced civilizations and technologies, which led to the sense of entitlement and a belief in their right to conquer and control. On the other hand, Black Africans were often depicted as primitive, uncivilized, and lacking in intellectual and cultural development. These distorted beliefs, combined with the desire for economic gain and the need to justify their actions, fueled the perception of Black Africans as a threat, justifying exploitative and oppressive practices such as slavery and colonization. These deeply rooted conceptions of race and power had lasting impacts, shaping the historical narrative and perpetuating stereotypes that continue to influence perceptions and attitudes today. Throughout history, economic factors have played a significant role in shaping the perception of Black Africans as a threat. During the era of exploration and colonization, European powers sought to expand their territories and acquire valuable resources from around the world. As they ventured into Africa, they encountered rich lands abundant in natural resources such as gold, diamonds, and various commodities. The desire to exploit these resources for economic gains led to a perception of competition and the potential threat from the indigenous African society and the populations. This perception was further fueled by a Eurocentric worldview that considered Africans primitive and incapable of effectively managing their resources. Social and cultural stereotypes have significantly shaped how Black Africans were viewed as a threat. European colonial powers, driven by their desire for dominance and control, constructed a narrative that portrayed Africans as fundamentally different and inferior. These stereotypes perpetuated the notion of otherness, creating a stark divide between Europeans and Africans. Africans were often portrayed as uncivilized, barbaric, and prone to violence, reinforcing the perception that they threatened European society. These stereotypes justified the exploitation and subjugation of African peoples and served to dehumanize and marginalize them. The legacy of these stereotypes continues to impact perceptions and interactions today, highlighting the need to challenge and dismantle such harmful narratives to foster greater understanding, equality, and unity among diverse communities. European powers have subjected Black Africans to various forms of colonization and subjugation. However, this does not mean they passively accepted their circumstances. On the contrary, Black Africans often pose significant threats to colonial power through acts of resistance and upheaval. From armed revolts and uprising to organized movements for independence, Black Africans fiercely resisted all the oppressive systems imposed upon them. These acts of defiance challenged the notion that Black Africans were submissive or easily controlled. The resistance and upheaval faced by colonial powers disrupted their control. The catalyzed change, ultimately contributing to dismantling colonial rule and the quest for African independence. These acts of resistance remain a testament to the strength and resilience of Black Africans throughout history. In the context of historical perceptions of Black Africans, scientific racism played a significant role in perpetuating the view of them as a threat. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, various scientific theories emerged that perpetrated to prove the superiority of certain races over others, with Black Africans often depicted as inherently inferior. These theories were based on flawed methodologies, biased interpretations, and an ignorance of cultural diversity and historical context. This served as a means to legitimize the oppressive practices of colonialism and slavery, reinforcing the notion that Black Africans threatened European powers, dominance, and perceived superiority. Despite the discrediting of scientific racism in the modern era, its legacy still lingers, reminding us of the importance of challenging harmful ideologies and promoting equality. The historical perceptions of Black Africans as a threat has had enduring effects that continue to shape societies today. These deeply ingrained notions have contributed to systemic racism, discrimination, and inequality. The stereotypes and biases developed during colonization and scientific racism have had long-lasting consequences impacting various aspects of life, including education, employment, criminal justice, and social interactions. The legacy of viewing Black Africans as a threat has perpetuated harmful stereotypes and reinforced social hierarchies that persist to this day. Recognizing and addressing these historical perceptions is crucial for building more equitable and inclusive societies where all individuals are valued and afforded equal opportunities, regardless of their racial background. The historical perception of Black Africans as a threat was rooted in deeply ingrained biases, stereotypes, and power dynamics. However, as we reflect on the past, we must also acknowledge the progress in dismantling these harmful narratives. Challenging and overcoming the persistent stereotypes that have shaped perceptions of Black Africans is crucial. By fostering a society that values and celebrates diversity, we can create a more equitable world where all individuals are respected and treated with dignity. Embracing the richness of different cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives strengthens our collective humanity and enables us to build a future based on mutual understanding, equality, and justice. Through these efforts, we can pave the way for a brighter and more inclusive world for future generations.